My dear, sweet child, that's what I do. It's what I live for, to help unfortunate merfolk like yourself. Poor souls with no one else to turn to.
Your love drives me crazy, shake it up. So don't you get lazy, shake it up. I wanna love you all night, shake it up. I wanna love you right, shake it up.
Ursula is the villain in Disney's 1989 take on the classic tale of The Little Mermaid. Most people have seen the movie and know the plot, and while Ursula is probably the most recognizable Disney villain, not many know that she was inspired by the vivacious drag queen Divine. While Ursula is the only Disney character inspired by a drag queen, she is not alone in the Disney canon for portraying traits stereotyped in the queer community.
That hairball is my son and your future king.
Oh, I shall practice my curtsy.
Queer coding is when characters generally in film and media are implied to be under the queer umbrella. This is sometimes based on the viewer's perception, but most of the time it is from the creator's writing of the characters. These creators have heavily used villains in films to code as queer. It's important to look at media made for children as they are still developing a worldview and have been less exposed to heteronormativity. So that's where I'm going to focus. Queer coding is an important issue because the stereotyping of people in the LGBTQ+ community can be harmful in affecting people's views, as the media is sometimes the only exposure certain people have to the queer community. People are multifaceted, and putting them into boxes can have harmful effects. Queer coding sheds light on the queer identity and can challenge the heteronormative narrative. Representation helps people understand different identities and is very meaningful to underrepresented peoples. In this video, I will describe the definition and history of queer coding, examples of villains as queer tropes, and discuss people's response to queer coding.
You stupid fathead, you!
Queer coding is not always negative, but can be when played into stereotypes and the perception that people outside the LGBTQ+ community have about queer people.
Good. I haven't smoked yet today. I feel great and confident. That is a stunning blouse.
Queer coding stems from the Motion Picture Production Code in 1930, sometimes called the Hays Code, which put regulations on what could be in films. The rules were intended for censorship and included restrictions on the portrayal of crime, drugs, sex, religion, as well as the rule that homosexuality could not be portrayed or discussed. Filmmakers went around these rules using coding, as homosexuality is sometimes used as a tool for humor. This also comes from long-rooted homophobia, as it creates a cycle of, I've seen gay characters in the media as bad, so being gay is bad, therefore I will make unlikable characters gay. Therefore, antagonists are usually portrayed as gay, feeding into the idea that queer people are morally depraved. The two main types of villain as queer-coded are the sissy villain and the sexual predatory villain. Most of these characters I will be talking about fall into the first category because I'm discussing children's media, but I want to touch on the other trope as you may have recognized it in popular movies and television.
Listen to me, kid. When you get involved with the opposite sex, you're only asking for trouble.
Yes, and that's the kind of trouble I stay out of.
Most of the time, these characters in children's films are portrayed as flamboyant and sassy. Captain Hook is an example of the former. He is loud and uses lots of hand gestures. He is adorned with ruffles and feathers. He is terrified by a crocodile and screams high-pitched when he hears it coming and calls for his first mate, Mr. Smee, to save him.
Let him get me, Smee, please! Don't let him get me, Smee!
Mr. Smee is always by his side waiting for him. He even dresses and shaves Hook.
Can't believe you're getting so worked up about some guy.
Hades from Hercules is an example of the latter. He somewhat fits the trope of the gay best friend for Hercules' love interest Meg, voicing his opinion on her love life.
Never do anything to hurt me.
He's a guy.
Queer coding in children's media is not exclusive to Disney movies, but has also appeared on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and even anime. James from Pokemon is quite flamboyant and is often seen cross-dressing, as he and his companion Jessie frequently use disguises to carry out their Pokemon-stealing plans. In 2003, Li-Vollmer and Lapointe discussed these queer-coded villains and described their common traits, such as a narrow jawline and high cheekbones, darkly colored eyelids, long eyelashes and plucked eyebrows or feminine hairstyles, narrow waist and hips, and long, slender hands. These characters are just a few of many that fit into this trope, but there are many more people have speculated, including Scar from Lion King, Shigo from Kim Possible, Orochimaru from Naruto, and even certain iterations of the Joker. The queer community has had different responses to queer coding. Some embrace these characters and relate to them, while others reject them and see them as only a stereotype or caricature. In 2001, Jose Munoz wrote Performing Disidentifications, where he describes disidentification as the survival strategy the minority subject practices in order to negotiate a phobic majoritarian public sphere that continuously eludes or punishes the existence of subjects who do not conform to the phantasm of normative citizenship. Disidentification basically means that minority groups sometimes take images meant to be negative and reclaim them for themselves. In this case, queer people can see villains and find them sympathetic and relatable and champion them. Rachel Lubitz from Refinery 29 claimed in 2016 that Ursula is a body-positive icon that exudes confidence. Many of these characters do possess traits of the stereotypical gay person and can be one-dimensional, but it does make sense that people latch onto these characters as they are the only representation for how they feel. Tricia Ennis from SyFy.com claims that queer coding can be an issue because the creators of these characters are trying to capitalize on their marginalized audience without running any of the risk that comes with true representation. However, later states that queer-coded characters have served to offer representation where there otherwise would be none. The way characters are portrayed in film reflect as well as teach society. They are telling of the morals and the ideas people subscribe to. The portrayal of these villains as queer reflects the homophobia that dates back to the beginning of Hollywood as well as continue in society today. Laura Sells in 1995 claims that Ursula is the female symbolic encoded in patriarchal language as grotesque and monstrous. She represents the monstrosity of feminine power. These films are especially important because they are what we are showing to children. While children are developing, they take in all information that they are receiving, even what is implicit, and will apply it to the rest of their lives. We need to be aware of the heteronormativity that is pervasive in all aspects of our culture.